Whenever students could not learn, there's always some challenges deep inside them. When I started teaching, I wanted to be a good teacher. But in one of my classes, I had a very challenging student. Let's call him Student X. Student X had many behavioral issues. Not only did he have very poor attention span, but he also had a very serious anger management issue. In almost every lesson, he will shout vulgarities at his friends and even at his teachers. No amount of caning or counseling seems to work. After multiple failures, I gave up. I thought that there was nothing I could do, considering he was diagnosed with ADHD and ODD. But in the following year, one experience changed my mindset about teaching students like him. That year, we engaged a vendor to conduct enrichment programs for the class. Initially, I warned the vendors about student X's behaviors. But after 5 weeks, I was shocked. Student X was like a totally different person. He was respectful, not only to the teachers, but also to his classmates. There was one time he accidentally uttered the F word. But surprisingly, he did this. Like he was so sorry for saying that. In the past, he would be very proud to say it. I was very curious. As such, I had many conversations with the vendors trying to understand what they did that worked. I realized they had done something that I had never done before. I used to think that the consequences that we impose on the students should be tied to their behaviors. For example, if the students showed open defiance, the consequence would be to call the parents and to inform the discipline committees. That's what every teacher did, standardized consequences. But the vendors used a very different approach. To come up with the consequences, they didn't just look at the behaviors, they look at what triggers the behaviors. In the case of student X, they realized that he always showed anger whenever he felt unsafe, like when he made mistakes or when he felt that someone was judging him. That was his antecedents. And as they investigated further, they found that in primary school, Student X didn't do well in his studies, and he also had many disciplinary issues. As such, all the adults seemed to look down on him. And to make matters worse, Student X didn't have supportive parents. With so many challenges, no wonder Student X has such low self-esteem. That was why he could easily melt down whenever he felt people were judging him. And to overcome his challenges, the vendors worked on consequences that would improve his self-esteem. For example, to help him see success, they make sure that the learning tasks match his abilities. And to show him that he was just as good as everyone else, they focused on his efforts, amplifying every small little success that he has made. And for student X, that was actually the first time in his life that somebody actually saw the good in him. And because of that Pygmalion effect, student X worked very hard to improve his behaviors. I realized what really worked well for the vendors was that they didn't look at the behaviors in coming up with the consequences. They looked at what the antecedent was. So why did the vendors work so hard to understand the antecedents? That's because they strongly believe that every student can learn. And whenever students could not learn, there's always some challenges deep inside them. And they believe that as long as they could remove his barriers to learning, student X would be motivated to learn.